Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, I think that ESA reform is long overdue. And I think that it's an issue that when I was Attorney General for the great state of Alaska, it actually had bipartisan support among all the AGs, particularly the Western states' attorneys general, just because we recognize, both Democrats and Republicans, that although the law has a lot of important aspects to it, there's been a lot of abuse to it as well. Ms. Priddy, I have some questions for you. One, I appreciated your focus on the ability of states. My state has a really, really professional and outstanding Department of Fish and Game, and some of the foremost experts on these species in Alaska, some of the foremost experts on these species in the world. They also understand how imperative it is to be able to balance protection of the species, which we all want, but also economic opportunity for our citizens and jobs. Let me ask a couple questions. One, can you talk a little bit more about where you believe the state's role should be, particularly given the expertise that a lot of states bring to these issues and the understanding of the economic balance that needs to be struck versus federal agencies that often don't have that deep kind of understanding?
Well, I think that states have a very unique perspective on everything that goes on in their state, both economically and for conservation efforts. There are other agencies within the state also that can contribute to that, especially in Florida. We've got our own Department of Agriculture. We have different environmental commissions that overlook everything. So I see them working together as a group and being able to address those situations that are unique to their state.
Let me ask a follow-up. Some of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle who particularly want all the power in the federal government say, well, you can't really trust the states. They don't really care about the species or the people. They don't understand the, quote, science. A lot of times they use the word science. Trust me, during the Obama administration, I saw the abuse of science in my state of Alaska all the time. All the time. Don't even get me going on that one. But how about that argument that we often hear, well, you can't really trust the states? Isn't it actually the opposite? The states are on the ground with the people, with the expertise, knowing the species that are unique to the ecosystems of Florida or Alaska. Isn't it better to trust the states? Isn't that a more effective way to effectuate effective ESA policy?
Well, I would certainly take exception to the position that the federal government is in a better position to manage these endangered species. In fact, having been Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commissioner, it's really almost offensive.
Yeah.
Because
I agree with that.
I've seen firsthand how engaged our state has been. Of course, speaking for Florida only, we were able to keep our black bear from being considered for listing because of the exceptional efforts that were made. Yeah. And I also see how our state on a regular basis provides greater funding than the federal government does to species that are already on the list.
Yeah, let me follow up on that. I agree exactly with what you just said. Again, I think there's a lot of area for bipartisan reform. Let me give you one example. Some of the more extreme radical groups, Center for Biological Diversity, for example, they have undertaken this, and trust me, they try to shut down my state all the time. Kill jobs, the whole bit. They have undertaken these examples of multiple listing petitions where they literally look to list 50, 60, 70, 80. Most people, even my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, believe that's the kind of abuse that's taken place under the ESA that needs to be reformed. I think even the Obama administration agreed with that in general. Do you agree with that, those kind of abuses? And are there other abuses to the federal law right now? We all want to make sure we have robust species, protect our environment, protect our species. But what are some of the abuses that you see in the current ESA that we could address that you think would be important?
Well, I absolutely don't agree that the litigation is the way to go. I think it ties up resources that could be used better elsewhere, working together, because the goal that everybody wants is the, removing or delisting of a species from the list. I think that the bill having that 5-year period after a species is delisted would be an exceptional opportunity for the states to show what they can actually do. So I think that's a key component of the bill that would definitely help the states.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.